There has been an incredible amount of interest in NATO's Arctic/winter warfare capabilities. Part of this interest was sparked by US President Donald Trump's desire to have Greenland become an American territory.
We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic.
But even before this news, the establishment of a NATO multinational force in northern Finland was in the spotlight. So when it comes to guarding Europe's high north, what units are specialized in defending this type of environment? Well, we've already covered Norway's establishment of its relatively new Finnmark Brigade, so let's look at neighboring Sweden for today's video. More specifically, its Norrbotten Regiment and newer/newly re-established Norrland Dragoon Regiment. First, we start with the Norrbotten Regiment. With the unit designation of I-19, the regiment is one of Sweden's largest regiments with operations in Boden and Kiruna. The unit also utilizes training areas in Torme and Grubna-Suden/Lomben, but no permanent military capabilities exist in these particular areas. The headquarters and command of the regiment are in Boden. According to the official webpage of the unit, I-19's most important task is to produce combat units for the Norrbotten Brigade, the regiment being a peacetime formation and the brigade a wartime structure. So what is known about the brigade? Well, it's stated that the brigade will naturally have a signals and headquarters company, but will also have under its control a reconnaissance company to gather intelligence, which includes the use of reconnaissance drones as shown in this video. An air defense company and heavy transport company will also be under the command of the brigade. The air defense company is actually a very new capability at I-19, with the first air defense course in some 20 years launching in fall 2025. And when it comes to combat units, the official regiment website in Swedish states that the brigade will have 2 armored battalions and 1 mechanized battalion. The armoured battalions are based on the Swedish version of the Leopard 2 main battle tank, the Stridsvagn 122. The CV-90, designated as the Stridsfordon 90, is the core of the mechanized battalion and is fitted with a turret from Bofors, equipped with a 40mm Bofors autocannon. While it's hard to argue with information posted to official websites, other sources we checked with indicate that the brigade may instead have 3 equal mechanized battalions, with more or less similar balances of tanks and IFVs. There's also an artillery battalion based on the Archer, as well as an engineer battalion. This will all be supported by a combat service support battalion. A recent promotional video about the regiment states that I-19 is responsible for training a fifth of the Army's operational units, and that the brigade is expected to be able to fight in all environments, but be specialized for combat in the subarctic environment of the North Cap. For the regiment, its armoured battalions have access to simulators and other training aids, as well as training and shooting ranges. The regiment's training battalion is organised for the daily production of war units and consists of personnel from the 191st and 192nd Mechanized Battalions. The 191st Mechanized Battalion is made up of both full-time and part-time soldiers and consists of a staff and support company, 2 armoured infantry companies, 2 tank companies, and a supply company. The 192nd Mechanized Battalion, which is mainly composed of part-time soldiers, consists of a staff and support company, 2 armoured infantry companies, 2 tank companies, and a supply company. The 3rd Brigade Reconnaissance Company, which is also mainly composed of part-time soldiers, consists of a combat supply platoon and 3 Brigade Reconnaissance platoons with CV-90-40 IFVs. Also part of this battalion is the 12th Heavy Transport Platoon, which consists of full-time and part-time soldiers and is a detachment of the transport company at Skaraborg Regiment P4. But it looks like the most knowledgeable specialists in winter warfare can be found with the Swedish Armed Forces winter unit within Norrbotten Regiment, the Försvarsmaktens Vinterenhet in the local language. In English, the entity appears to be marketed as the Swedish Armed Forces Subarctic Warfare Center. Since its inception in 1999, this unit has developed into a natural resource for armed forces operations. It's tasked with coordinating and supporting the development of the Swedish Armed Forces winter capabilities. Activities of the center are extensive, with everything from functional responsibility for winter capabilities at the armed forces level to the development of publications, of which Winter Soldier and Cold Weather training packages are two examples. A large part of the unit's activities is education, where it supports schools' winter training and offers its own courses in the areas of risk management, combat, diving, mountains, and avalanches. For many years now, there has even been a great demand from foreign units for the Försvarsmaktens Vinterinjets expertise and training, which is probably why it developed this marketing video in the English language.
Everyone in the armed forces needs winter skills. Some units need more to function in subarctic conditions. And those units that learn to operate in subarctic conditions will be able to operate anywhere.
But now we have to end off with one of Sweden's newer regiments, the Norrland Dragoon Regiment, a unit that was re-raised in 2021 after being disbanded between 2004 and 2006. Indeed, it was in late September 2021 that the King of Sweden re-established the regiment in a ceremony attended by Sweden's Prime Minister and the Supreme Commander of the Swedish Armed Forces. With the unit designation of K4, the regiment is located in Arvidsjaur and is focused on training small, independent units for reconnaissance and combat behind enemy lines. That means no using tanks or IFVs, with travel either being on foot, skis, ATVs or snowmobiles. Indeed, it's stated that conducting combat and reconnaissance in the most difficult terrain and climatic conditions is the hallmark of the unit's Jaeger battalion, which appears to have been part of the Norrbotten Regiment in the past due to the disbanding in 2004 through 2006. Now part of the Norrland Dragoon Regiment, the Norrland Jaeger battalion operates unconventionally and uses its own weapon systems or by directing attack aircraft or artillery. Again, to avoid detection, the unit normally operates in small units, groups or platoons. Physically and mentally resilient with a strong will to complete the task, often at the expense of personal comfort, Jaegers work in very small groups of 8 soldiers. Together with 3 other groups, they form a platoon of about 30 soldiers, the Jaeger platoon. Deployed far from other units, the Jaeger platoon solves independent tasks, often for up to several weeks in a row. Again, the majority of movements are carried out on foot or on skis, and personal and shared equipment is carried in backpacks. Also included in the Jaeger battalion is a specialized mountain platoon who are specially trained to operate in difficult mountainous terrain. So that's your overview of Sweden's presence in the High North, including the Norrbotten Regiment and its work in supporting the Norrbotten Brigade, as well as the re-established Norrland Dragoon Regiment and its Jaeger battalion. What do you think of Sweden's capabilities in this region? Let us know by leaving a comment.